Hi, I'm Jamie Driver and I'm the Outreach Program Coordinator for Sweet Home, Alabama. I'm here today with Akasha Ellis. He's the Director of Birmingham Yoga, and we're going to be talking about service and Siva and what that means. So thank you for being here and taking the time to talk to me. So first, explain what Siva means, what is service, and why is it important as part of the yogic path?
Yeah, I grew up, in the kind of yoga community and in an ashram. When I was about 11, 12 years old, I moved into an ashram or semi-ashram with Yogi Bhajan and spent my summers with him. And the first time I ever heard Seva was when he gave me a shovel and a pickaxe.
Oh, nice.
And he had me start working. And he had me start working on the actual grounds of the ranch, digging ditches. And I was like 12, 13, 14, picking weeds. And actually the whole summer, I think I spent the whole summer working on the ranch. And I didn't get paid anything. Luckily, he started me out young enough that it was more of a, I almost felt like it was a duty. It felt right to do that, and it felt good.
Everyone has chores when they're a teenager.
Yeah. And there were some, we built some fences, and then I planted some trees, and those trees are still there. The fences might have come down, I don't know for sure. But even if you look back at, most religions, most spiritual practices, most traditions ask for that 10% of your earnings, but also 10% from a spiritual practice that you give back to yourself, and 10% that you earn, you give back to some community. So even when we do, if you go to the temple and they serve langar to the poor and Sikh temples. And that was really kind of another first time I saw, this idea of service towards others. And you obviously see it with the churches here in town where they serve food. I think they serve 70 or 80,000 chapatis, which are the tortilla things in India, at one temple a day.
Wow.
I mean, just outrageous to the poor or to whomever. Whether in the king or the person who has no money or clothing at all, they sit right next to each other and eat together. So I think all traditions going back to eons have always used this idea of service. And you even study the sutras, even if you look at what Swami Satchidananda wrote in one of his sutras, the easiest path to happiness is to serve another. Giving yourself to another in some form or fashion. And as a yoga teacher, probably the easiest way for us to do that is, we don't earn so much maybe financially from our classes that we may need to do other kind of alternative sources of income. But we can offer our actual gift of teaching. And that could be, let's say for instance, maybe you earn $1,000 this month in training or teaching or whatever, right? And you could give back 10%, 100. So maybe that's 1 or 2 classes. Where you donate your time, maybe someone pays for your gas at least, but you donate your time and your energy, towards a class or 2. That's something I do, and I even sometimes when I'm teaching someone, I'll offer something to them without charging, And by the way, you're my source for today, so.
Thank you. Yes, awesome class before this interview, so thank you for that. Yeah. So do you think that, we should just do Seva because it's part of the yogic path, or, can't we get a little bit of enjoyment out of it too? Isn't it something that, it feels good to help people, right?
Yeah. And I think that's what Swami Satchidananda was saying in his sutra, when he was describing the Patanjali Sutras, he used the example about service. Mother Teresa is a great example of someone who devoted her entire life to Christ and to serving the poor and serving the orphans and people in need. It's kind of like putting you more back in touch with the way the natural universe plays. The sun shines without asking for anything. The water is given to you. Now we have pipes and, but the rivers flow, the lakes are there. We have water, we have sun. The earth provides for us. It doesn't really ask for anything in return.
Right.
So it's kind of actually when you offer service to someone else and you give that, back to someone, you're kind of bringing yourself back in line with the universal play. But I think, with the Western society, I think we've gotten really caught up with a capitalistic society. We have to earn something. You know, we have to make something for what we do. And you know, there are situations where you are taken advantage of at times, and that we're not talking about that. We're talking about something that will make you feel better, maybe helping someone who can't afford it. You know, you see someone walking down the street who, you know, asks you for money. I mean, I will give them usually. You know, I mean, there are some times that someone is taking advantage of that situation, but by and large, they could use a helping hand. You know, and I think that is part of our, that is a natural human quality that we want to inspire others to do. So yeah.
So how can yoga help these certain populations that we're trying to, you know, give these service classes to them? Why is it important for us to offer this to people?
I think the same reason we all got into yoga, and we began to feel and taste the experience of that. So when you, maybe you had your first class, maybe you felt ecstatic, or you felt like this was really challenging and you sweat and you worked yourself out, or maybe you had a spiritual, like, heart-opening experience, maybe you cried. I mean, there's so many things that come to the surface when you begin to unravel this. And I think the beauty of practicing this yoga, and maybe, you know, giving someone else that bug, is that they get into a place where they become their own teacher. They become someone who gets comfortable working with their own stuff, rather than always looking for someone else. Initially you come in as a teacher, and you know, the whole idea of the guru, the idea of that is, you know, I'm going to shine light to this darkness. It doesn't mean you follow me. It just means I got a torch right now, here's some tools for you to work with, for you to shine your own light, and you become that beacon of light and begin to attract more and more light to yourself. So that teaching, you know, that's what we want to inspire. We want to elevate someone's consciousness. So by doing this practice, whether it be Ashtanga, or it be Vinyasa flow, or it be Bikram, or it be meditation or pranayama, it elevates the consciousness. And when we begin to elevate the consciousness, we begin to actually see ourselves in a different light. And then maybe we can begin to work and have the courage, the compassion to work with some of the things that maybe are ugly.
Absolutely.
You know, or even some of the things that are beautiful that we want to bring more into our life. But we begin to accept and, you know, allow it to move and go through us, rather than, you know, when the aura is so shrunken, we feel beat down and we begin to doubt and have all this guilt, and we're living in that own sin. That's sin to me. I make that comment all the time. That's been my big thing right now. Sin to me is guilt. It's judgment. So, you know, that's living in the past. And what yoga is trying to teach us is live right now. And if the stuff bubbles up to the surface from the past, hey, love it, accept it. Don't judge it. It takes a lot of work, though. This is a lifelong practice, and that's the beauty of it. You could give someone that gift, and they have now a tool to work with themselves the rest of their life. That's beautiful.
Right, and especially these specific populations, you know, before this, I mentioned that we had a class, I did the Mysore class this morning, and there was a certain pose where, you know, I got some help from a teacher, and I did something that, you know, I commented, oh, I didn't know that muscle was there. I hadn't felt that before. And then Akasha walked away, so he didn't see, but I actually started crying, not sobbing, but there were just like a couple of glistening tears coming down, and I felt myself getting a little bit anxious, a little bit of anxiety coming up, but I knew what was happening. And so I was able to let it happen and to breathe through it. And so, you know, giving these people that haven't been exposed to yoga before, giving them those kind of tools is a life skill. It helps with survival. And when you're constantly, you know, if you're living in a high stress situation, if you're homeless, if you don't know where your next meal is going to come from, imagining those types of, you know, traumatic events happening over and over and over, having no safety, being able to have someone teach you how to just get through the day. It's like such a, you know, amazing gift, and that's why I became involved with Tsunoma in the first place, is because I felt like I had, you know, grown and received that gift from other people, and I wanted to share it. And so you helped me today, you didn't know, in a couple different ways.